Welcome to Inside Out, our new podcast series where people come together to discuss topics from in and around our ERG communities here at Exertis. Welcome to the next episode of our Inside Out podcast. Today we're joined by Farena and Manny, and we're going to be discussing religious faith, and actually in particular Farena reconnecting with Islam. So thank you so much for joining us. Before we start, can you just give us a quick introduction?
Sure. I'm Farena Akhtar. I'm a business development manager for Fujitsu. I've been at Exertis for about 12 months and I'm a member of the ERG.
Amazing, thank you. And so what made you become part of the ERG?
Initially it was actually brought up in my interview with Manny, which actually I took a liking to. So once I joined Exertis, I became a member through Manny. And it's actually for myself the insight to the culture, religion for everyone. As much as I've got my own beliefs, I think it's good to respect everyone else's beliefs. And I didn't have much of an understanding until quite a lot has actually popped up on the group from Black History Month, even as little as Christmas. So it's been quite interesting, and I think I've taken a lot of knowledge on board. So thank you to Manny, who actually referred me to it, and it's enhanced my knowledge.
I love that, like mentioning it as part of the interview process. Is that something that you feel like is important?
Yeah, I think it's really important because what we're talking about is the culture of the company and, what we're aspiring to be and what we are today. So it's really key to talk about that, especially when you're trying to bring more diverse people into the business. You need to show them what our journey is, what it looks like and where we're going, because hopefully they're going to join us on this journey and we can bring in the best talent we have, such as Farena, to the team, to come on board, to show them that actually it's not just a job, it's something that they can become a part of, and that's what this has enabled them to do. And also talking about the elevation that we want to do, is my key word for the year, is elevating people within the ethnic backgrounds within the organisation, which we have the complete buy-in from our management, and showing that actually this is the journey that we can go on and this is what's available. And that was a conversation we had at length, because something that was key for Farena was her development journey within the next steps she took from where she was before.
Amazing. So you mentioned it was something Manny mentioned about the ERGs and the stuff they do internally for I&D. Is that something that you kind of said that you thought that was like a really good thing? Is that something that kind of swayed you to be like, actually, I really want to join this company?
Definitely. I think it's also the culture elements. I come from a company where it was pretty much I was the only Asian there, so no one really looked into my faith and my beliefs, and not that they didn't respect it, they did by all means, but I did feel like I was a little bit of an outsider. So if I needed the odd time off, if I'd approach anyone, they'd never understand that why is Eid on such a day, or why is it a last minute decision? Why do you need a day off now? You should have known this like a couple of weeks beforehand, a bit like Christmas, because that's what it gets compared to. So having the platform in place here, it was fantastic. And like I said, and I learned that, like Manny mentioned to me, people do bring up certain concerns where they feel in terms of their religion, it's a belief, and it does get put forward and it's addressed throughout the company. And I think that's kind of opened my eyes internally and externally, because I'm able to share it with my friends and family to say, oh, well, did you know you can actually have a platform, you can speak up about it, and it's not something that you could run away from it, because previously in my workplace I was running away from it. So it's good. So thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's fantastic to have you here as well on a podcast openly talking about it. It's really fantastic to see. So can you tell us a bit about your faith, and if you start off by just telling us a little bit of a background about your faith.
Okay, quite deep, if I'm honest with you, because this is obviously going to be me and my faith, not anyone else. Everyone might follow Islam or any other religion, but I think it's the personal attachment. I was brought up into Islam. I was born a Muslim, very lucky to be born a Muslim. As a child, I was taught the Quran. I was taught the basic principles, 5 pillars of Islam, how I need to pray, how I need to fulfill Ramadan and complete everything. However, did I follow it through? Not really. You're young. As a young adult, Ramadan would come around, and that month you'd be practicing all month and you'd think you're the best Muslim. However, once that month would pass, you would slowly go back to your old ways of day-to-day life, and I wouldn't practice being a Muslim.
So if you tell us a bit about what your Islamic faith means to you then.
Islam, the word itself, is peace and submission, and it's submission to the will of God. So it's accepting what God has willed for you. For myself, it's a way of life. So it's not a set of rules that are in place where I've got to abide by. No, it's what I've learned and I've adapted to. Contentment is a big thing in it. I've learned over the years that no amount of money, friends, family could give you that inner peace and contentment to what I found turn into my faith and my religion, and purely accepting that what I do on a day-to-day basis, that's my will, that's God's will, but God is the best of planners. And the hardships in life have actually taught me that. So some of the traumas, whether it's been with family or friends, and just incidents in life, which we will obviously discuss one shortly, is what's turned me to my faith. So my faith, Islam, is everything to me. I'm a practicing Muslim. Am I perfect? I think far from it, but I try. I've come a long way. But I think it's everything in terms of Islam and what it's got to offer.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you for that. Okay, so we talked before. So before we started to actually film the podcast, it was like way back last year. We were talking about what we wanted to do and the content for the podcast, and how we can make it engaging, and we wanted to make some of it about work and our experiences, but also we wanted to make it very personal as well. And you shared a quite harrowing story with us for how you reconnected with Islam. So please do share.
Okay. So it was just a normal day. I'd finished work, planned my evening to go out with two of my friends. I was actually driving home and actually got onto my street. And before I even say this, the thought of what you just said is what made me reconnect to faith was actually the thought of that I'd killed someone. So it was that thought that actually got me going to think, oh my God, I've got blood on my hands. So that day, driving back from work, going home like no other day, normal, sun shining, August, beautiful day, got onto my street, and the next thing you know, a cyclist has come out of nowhere, hit the front corner of my car at quite a pace because he was coming down the hill, and his face actually embedded in front of me in the windscreen. And at that moment, I actually wasn't in shock, I'm going to be honest. He fell, obviously, to the side, and I quickly got out the car because I knew I wasn't speeding. So I got out the car, and I tried to help him, and I thought, right, I could see blood everywhere. The bike's snapped into two, so it was quite an impact. And I need to now call emergency services. So went back to the car, got my phone, called up, speaking to the operator, and he wasn't responding. I was still okay at that point. I was like, right, I need to help him because I need to focus. And I tried asking for his name, no response. And the operator was like, can you put him in this position? Can you do that? Can you do that? And we got to a point in the conversation where the operator goes to me that, how old do you think the individual is? And I actually turned around and I go to her, I think he's about 25. And she obviously noted that down. But as I said that, that's the time he actually heard me. And he turned around and he goes that, I'm 15. When he said he's 15, that's when, even now, like I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, because I started screaming on the phone and I was like, he's a child, he's a juvenile. Oh my God, I remember just screaming, oh my God, he's a kid. Oh my God, you need to send help. Like, not saying that it's any better being an adult and for an adult to have that accident, but just that feeling of thinking, oh my God, he's a kid.
Your protective instincts.
Yeah, literally.
Literally. You perceive to be a child.
Yeah. And then obviously not knowing what was going to happen from that point, because I could see the state he was in. And it was instantly like, is this about to go the bad way? Because that's all I was thinking. I was thinking, oh my God, this, how?
He could die.
How is it? Yeah, he could die.
Yeah.
He could potentially die. He's a kid. When's the help going to arrive? And when the paramedics actually arrived, the police arrived with them. So all of a sudden, I've gone from one extreme to another because the police have now cautioned me. They've taken my phone off me. They've breathalyzed me. They're saying to me, can you do a vision test? So I'm there reading out number plates.
Wow.
They've put me in the back of a police car and I'm there thinking, I can see my front door. I can see my front door and my mum and my brother don't even know
What's going
that
on?
this is what's going on outside.
Wow.
And that was the turning point. I think at that point I realised no one could help me. My mum and my brother are behind that door and no one can save me but God. And just to sit there and feeling like I've got no one and nothing, because it went on for 4 days. 4 days before I got any answers of how he's doing, what's happened in the process.
That must have been horrible.
And I remember that evening, once everything was over and I was allowed to go home, the very first thing I actually done was stood on my prayer mat. And when I stood on my prayer mat, I cried and I cried and I cried.
Wow.
I cried for, I wouldn't be surprised if it was hours over those 4 days.
Wow.
And that's where I found my contentment. I found my peace. And I thought to myself, God, you've put me in this position. Now, there's something good will definitely come out of it. And I need to find that inner peace in my soul. And that's where I found my inner peace, because after those 4 days, it was good to find out that he actually did do well. Yes, he needed a lot of plastic surgery on his face because his face was embedded into my screen, but he survived. He didn't die. He didn't, where I was thinking I've killed someone, God gave me the answer that I wanted, that I didn't commit that crime. And it wasn't even a crime. It was, look, a normal day, a normal life, and it could happen to anybody. An incident that changed my life. And I didn't used to wear a headscarf. That's the point where I started wearing my hijab. Started practicing as much as I could, pray 5 times a day. And I've not looked back at it. And I think it's humbled me as a person. Even now, there's times that I stand on my prayer mat and I still cry because I'm thankful, I'm grateful for how far I've come in life and the traumas and the difficulties that it's pulled me through, because it's the only place I find peace. Only place. 5 times a day, literally.
Amazing.
That I find peace, that I stand there and I bow down to my Lord. And whatever I have to share, I share it with my friends, don't get me wrong. There's times I share with Manny as well, like, oh, Manny, this is good. But deep down, it's that time when I bow down to him that I'm like, you know what? I'm handing my worries over to you because I know you'll take care of them. And that's where I found my faith and my religion.
It's pretty amazing.
It's
Pretty
amazing,
beautiful, really.
yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And kind of when hearing you talk about that and finding inner peace, I think for the first time in my life, I feel anxiety quite a bit.
Right.
And, the thought of that inner peace and just like having that is just amazing.
No, I get that. I'm not fully religious. I'm Sikh, but I will not talk about that today. However, it's the same thing that, when you're younger, you disconnect. But when we were younger, we had prayers on in the house, and we did certain prayers we listened at certain times of the day. And if we're in the car going on a long journey, we'd have musical prayers on in the car, up until about midday. And then you disconnect. But as I got older, and you say like anxiety, worries, it brings me comfort. So now in our house, we listen to prayers in the morning. They just on the iPhone, and everybody can hear it in the house. And I listen to it on my journey into work, because it's that inner peace that it gives me, and it makes me feel content. And I'm not fully practicing that, that's not my journey today. But just having that does, I completely get it. So where you are, that's inspirational.
Yeah, absolutely. It really.
But I still think I've got a long way to go. Honestly, I as well as it's good, but I think it's a learning game. Like you said, you've started off with playing things at home on the iPhone and the family taking part.
Yeah.
Similar thing in our house. My mum tends to play something in the background. But did I used to pick that up before? No.
Yeah.
But it's these small changes and steps. I'm not saying it's going to take a massive incident for anyone to go through like I did in life to change. Sometimes it's the little things that you're so grateful for that you think, you know what, actually it's my time.
Yeah.
Because we're all brought up into our faith, but it's about when you can adapt it. For me, it was 8 years ago. For others, it might have been a lot longer. And there's individuals who are not even ready yet. So it's that journey of experiencing it for yourself.
And I suppose, sorry, I'm going to throw in a bit of a curveball here for you.
That's okay.
Because I know we went through questions earlier, but just off the back of you talking about like reconnecting with your faith, and what advice would you give someone who might be at a crossroads right now? And, you know, it's sort of they're trying to find their way back through. Like, what advice would you give to them?
They need to believe in themselves. So you've got the high power of your God, if you're a religious individual, and he's given you the ability, and you need to believe in yourself that you've got that ability to achieve it. That's the only way that negativity will go, and you will succeed. It might take time. Nothing happens overnight. I've learned that. Things have taken years for me to succeed, but I've not given up on that hope. I've kept that faith going. That's something I've always said, that, you know what, that's my biggest thing, my iman, my faith, that's my hope, that will get me through to where I want to be in life. So you've got to be a believer.
Absolutely, great bit of advice for anyone, I think. And, you know, even if you're not practicing, that's a great bit of advice to give.
You could start off small, like I said. It could be little things, little changes that will eventually get you there over time. It was, even though it was a big incident with myself, I didn't change overnight. Wearing a hijab was not easy. You know, people looking at you like overnight, oh, why are you wearing a headscarf for? Like, honestly, people frowned upon it, and you used to think, well, you're meant to be my friends and family. Like, why are you finding this weird? It's part of our religion. But they would find it weird. So little steps, but you've got to feel comfortable in yourself, because it's your belief in the end of the day. And if you can accept it, eventually anyone else will accept it.
And actually, it's really brave to kind of take that step if you've not done it before, and then just kind of really going fully into it, and, you know, wearing a headscarf, and it's really surprises me as well that even people within your community are
questioning it.
Question it. They do. Honestly,
it's
unreal. It's unreal. Even when people see you praying, like, you could be at a function and you could get up and go out, and they'll be like, "Where are you going?" And you'll be like, "Right, I'm just quickly going to pray." And they'll be like, "What? You're going to pray?" And it's like, yeah, that's what's expected of us 5 times a day. People do judge. I don't know why, because I don't like judging.
Their because what you're doing is what should people be doing. So they're projecting their insecurities onto you and questioning you, but really they're probably reflecting on themselves more. Does that make sense? Because they're thinking, we should really be doing this, and aren't. And
And I think the point, I suppose, like the point with faith as well, and like you said, it's all about you and where you're at and when you're ready. It's, you know, everyone's at different stages. So it's kind of, you know, it's, if you're not at that stage, that's fine. But then don't kind of then project onto other people, and, you know, support and be understanding. And that's what we've talked about previously, you know, when we were discussing with Ambreen about Ramadan, and, you know, just being considerate of, you know, times when people might have to go off, or, you know, they might need to take a break and things like that. You know, it's just about being open and to what other people are practicing themselves.
I think I've learned in the long run that in the end, it's me, my God, and my deeds, literally. And I think that comes down for everyone, whether they're good deeds, bad deeds. But if you look into faith and your religion and what you think of it, that's the simple outcome. It is, in the end, between you three, no one else. Your deeds, you and God. And hopefully that should sum things up for people. You know, it doesn't, even though we're saying people are quite judgmental and about this cut, hence why I say it is, it's okay, people can have their input. However, the outcome is literally
it is
yourself. You use a belief in your God.
And actually, I think, and again, another reason why I think it's really brave of you to, you know, to go out and to wear your headscarf is, I know that, well, I don't know, but have you kind of had any negative sort of reactions, you know, out in public and stuff as well, like when wearing a headscarf?
I wouldn't say it's been a negative impact. However, I like travelling, so I've been to a few countries where I haven't seen many individuals wearing a headscarf. Like I've seen one other person and I've got excited. Oh my God, there's someone wearing a headscarf here. Because you do actually feel a little bit out of place.
Yeah.
Because you think, am I actually meant to be here, even though it's another country?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
are people going to look at me a bit weird? Because due to obviously what goes on around the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, other than that, I think I've been fine. Nobody's ever said to me, "Oh, take it off or do this or do that." No.
Oh, good.
And I wouldn't. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't. Like my nephew, he's 6 now, but I remember when he was a lot younger, I'd go to see him and he used to pull it off. And obviously he was a little kid.
Yeah.
However, one day he came round about 3 years ago, so he was at a much more understandable age. And I was in my bedroom, so at home I obviously don't wear my headscarf.
Yeah.
And he come in the room and he looked at me and he was like, "Papa, put your headscarf on." And I was like, "You've got honestly,
I want to see you with
I
it.
think
Yeah.
I've got it on a video somewhere where he's literally telling me
He's
to
used
put
to it
my,
now.
he's so used to
Yeah.
it. Like he
found
was
it
like,
awkward.
"This is so awkward. Like, where's the headscarf gone?" So so apart from my nephew saying to me, "That where's your headscarf?" Other than that, yes, it's been good. I've not had anybody turn around and say, "Can you take it off, please?"
Yeah.
I've been told. Like I've been to places though. Like I went to Dubai once, and I ended up at the wrong location. The football was on that year, and I carried on walking with my friends and didn't realise that. We thought it was some sort of like little get together to watch the football, but it was more of a bar. So when I went in there with my headscarf on and my abaya, they didn't say anything to anybody else. But the guy come up to me and he was like, literally, he done the gesture. He went like that and down, like meaning my headscarf and my attire. He was like, out. And I was like, why? He was like, this is not allowed here. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, literally.
Yeah, that surprises me.
But I was like, why? I questioned
what's
it. And
the
he was
reason?
like, literally the setup of like having alcohol around and everything. He was being respectful.
So
he was
almost
being
like more of
respectful.
a respect thing.
In a
because
respectful
there's
way. He was
alcohol.
like, He was like, you're not allowed here. So, but even then, he didn't say take it off. He just said, you're not allowed here. And I just left. And
yeah,
I
that's
thought,
fair
well,
enough.
that's somewhere I don't want to be anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
And where's your next travels? You know why I'm asking this question.
I'm off to Saudi Arabia on the 7th of February. So
nice.
I'm off to, inshallah, perform Umrah. I'm going with my mum and my brother.
Oh, wow.
So it's a big journey, a big step.
Yeah.
I think I will discover myself as well as my religion and my faith there.
Wow.
Purify my sins, hopefully, and God could forgive me for it. But it's going to be challenging. I was discussing with Manny that it's not a straightforward, simple holiday. You're not going to go there and sit in a hotel and go and pray 5 times a day. A lot of walking is entailed, so you'll be probably doing a minimum of 30,000 steps a day. And that's fulfilling the actual Umrah. So,
And what is, can you just explain what Umrah is? Is it difficult?
It's difficult, I'm not going to lie.
Is it like a...
Because it's not part of the pillars of Islam, but it's
Okay.
like a bidya version.
Okay, yep.
And Hajj is compulsory. So this is like
Right.
This is the build-up to
This is the
Hajj.
build up to Hajj. That's it. That's a bit
Okay.
better.
Yeah.
So Hajj being your actual one of the 5 pillars of Islam, this is the build up to it.
Right,
So
okay.
it's almost you're going there, you're learning, you're purifying, you're asking for forgiveness, but you're preparing yourself for that change. People sometimes, myself, I think I'm almost ready. There's individuals who are not even ready, but they always say that it's the call from God. If God has willed it and it's called upon you for you to go, because
they need to
I'll be
go.
honest with you, I've been saying it for quite a few years now to my mum, because I can't go without a mehram. So someone who's either my brother, father, uncle, someone who I can't marry, has to go along with me. So obviously my brother's ready now, and he's joining us on this journey. So I've been saying it for a few years, but I couldn't go. I couldn't just like I'd pack up and leave to
wasn't
go
in the
to
right
any other,
space.
like get up to go to any other
wasn't
country.
time.
I couldn't go. I had to wait to either have my brother or my uncle or someone with me to join me on this journey. And I'm
Now's the
actually
time.
nervous and really excited.
Wow.
But now is the time. So many years, and I feel that is the time from God. That's when
And how
He's willed
amazing
it.
to share that journey with your family though as well.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
quite
definitely.
nice. It's quite nice that is.
Definitely. And I actually, we've got a colleague here in the office who I was talking to about the journey. And she said to me, "Can you do one thing for me?" And I was like, "What's that?" And she goes, "It was my dad's wish to always go to Mecca."
Oh, wow.
And she goes, and what I've seen on social platform is actually people go there and obviously they hold up a picture of their loved ones with the Kaaba in the background in Mecca. And she was like, "Will you do that for my dad?" And honestly, that's such
giving
a
me, like,
honestly such a good feeling for myself. And I reminded her yesterday, I was like, "Look, 3 weeks to go. I need that picture of your dad because."
Is her dad still with us?
No, her dad's not. Yeah.
Oh my
gosh!
Wow.
She was like, I always thought like, who's going to do it? And I just thought to myself, how am I the chosen one to do that for?
That's
her?
amazing.
But
Yeah.
it just so happened you were talking about it, and there you go.
Yeah.
Wow. Goosebumps.
That is.
So
Well, good luck on that. I can't wait to hear all about it. I think you'll have to join us for podcasts.
Tell us about your journey.
Tell us all about it. Definitely. Amazing. Okay, well, so before we wrap up, I just want to ask you one last question.
Sure.
So, as a woman of an ethnic minority background working in the tech industry, what's your proudest moment?
Okay.
Be proud of it.
The proudest moment is the fact that when I started the journey off, it was very male dominated. I was the only female in the company. It wasn't easy. Was not easy at all. I had to kind of fight my way through and really seek that attention to say, look, there's Farena here as well. Just because she's a female, it's not that she's not capable of achieving certain goals in life. And to achieve that and get through the male-dominated environment and actually excel up the ladder and where I am today. And when I joined Exertis, and I was shocked, met Manny, and I was like, oh my god, another female. And then I got to see the wider team, and I was like, multiple females. I was actually really proud of it to think, what, I'm also one that's kind of gone through the stages, because I'm sure you've experienced it, Manny, because it's not easy. Being Asian is one thing, which is fine, but being a female alone, like I said, it is extremely difficult. But it's opening up certain doors for a lot of individuals, though. I think people seeing females out there in the IT sector, they're like, actually, it's no longer a male-dominated environment. Well, I hope they think that, because I always say that to people anyway. Because when I tell them it's IT, and they're like, boring. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's actually not. And do you know how many women actually do it? And when you tell them, and they're like, what? Women actually do that? And I'm like, yeah. Why would they not do that? So it's good.
That's fantastic.
So that's my proudest moment, to get away through all those men and then come along and see there's a lot more females out there that are doing it, but I just wasn't aware of it.
Yeah, and sticking with it, keep
definitely
pushing and still wanting to continue and
definitely
climb the ladder, as they say. Amazing. Well done.
Yeah.
And I think as well, again, kind of referring back to the reason why we wanted to do these podcasts, that is the reason why.
Yes.
Because, we talked before about intersectionality, so, being Asian, but also a woman, but then you're telling other people about, no, this industry is great and this company is great. There's loads of women here. That's amazing. That's what we want, because we want to be able to see more.
You want to see that drive, don't you? Yeah, and diversity.
Exactly.
Definitely.
So, that's a really, really good point, and a great point to wrap up on, I think. But thank you so much for joining us for that episode, and we hope to have quite a few more future episodes. So stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you'd like to join our ERG, or you have any feedback on the topics that we discussed today, or you have any ideas for topics to discuss in future sessions, please get in touch using the link in the description.